In this episode of In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, our guest is Darren Simmons, special teams coordinator, assistant head coach, been with the Bengals for 2 decades. He's seen some hard times. I'm particularly happy for Darren Simmons. That's his first playoff win as a coach with the Cincinnati Bengals. And boy, he had to enjoy it. And he talks about how the fans, 66,000 plus, were in full throat and enjoyed every minute of it themselves. Darren Simmons, his special teams are as prepared as any special teams are to play in the history of the National Football League. And the bigger the game, the better his teams play. The all-important third phase, special teams, dictates field position, long field, short field, game-winning kick. McPherson's very capable. Darren Simmons, been around a while, and he appreciates the fact that the Bengals are in the playoff round of this playoff run to try to get to the Super Bowl. Welcome to In the Trenches once again with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics in our outstanding studios as always. And right now, special guest, extremely special guest, the most special guest, Darren Simmons. He is the special teams coordinator. He is assistant head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, who are AFC North champs and who are in the division round of the playoffs. Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you. It's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it?
Sure does. Sure does. So as you reflect back on the victory against the Raiders, what do you remember most about that football game?
Well, there's a lot I remember. Obviously, the build up for the game. You know, probably the thing I remember most is the crowd, the fans. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, you've been to a lot of games at that stadium, Lap, but I can't remember one that felt quite like that. It was pretty electric. You know, and our players could feel it too, man. It was it's what you want that place to be like. It was definitely a home field advantage, and you could feel it. I know the Raiders could feel that too. Just the electricity, and then you know after the game, just with the way that the fans were all sticking around in the stands after the games, I felt like they were there forever. You know, and then leaving the stadium afterwards, I mean the place was crazy. And so that really brings a good feeling to your heart to know that was a good night for the city and a good night for our team, good night for the city too.
You're right, Coach. I mean, they wanted to soak it up. I mean, they didn't want to leave, man. It was like let's celebrate together. This is unbelievable. And I mean, 66,000 in full throat. Out of the 7 penalties, I bet at least 4, maybe 5 were affected by crowd noise. You know, you had pre-snap penalties and lack of communication because it's so loud. That's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a major play, you know, and plus the lack of communication or the difficulty of communication for their offense and in situations like that, and just the general feel that you have. I know what it feels like when you're playing in a tough environment as opponent on the road. Right. You know, you feel like it's you against the world there, and it's just a lot to overcome, and it's definitely a big advantage.
So you mentioned on the road, a tough environment. Going to do that. Tennessee Titans, the Bengals 5-3 in the regular season on the road, and really 5-2. And then the Cleveland game, you know, you rested a lot of your horses. So what do you think, your observation of this football team, the protocols of the road travel and all that, what do you think is a big reason why this team was so successful on the road this year?
Again, I think our guys have laser sharp focus, you know, again, at all points, but especially on the road. We hit a couple spots early in the year where we weren't winning games at home, you know, and we were playing well on the road. We just weren't winning games at home. It kind of flipped, you know, towards the end of the year when you know the momentum started to build for us a little bit. And but I really believe that the guys continue to stay focused. They don't, for us as a team, I don't think they worry one bit about the crowd. I think it fuels us the other way because we do feel that like we're up against the world, we're up against the fans, we're up against everybody. And I think guys, you know, really thrive in that environment, take that to heart, that it's a major challenge, and you know it's up to us to keep them quiet. And you know, for the most part, I think we've done a pretty good job of that.
So, Coach, when you're talking about the all-important third phase, special teams, which is a big hand in dictating field position. Obviously, turnovers are essential in that formula as well. But trying to put yourself on short fields and trying to put them on as long a field as possible, the bigger the game, the more important that is, isn't it?
Oh, always. Field position, becomes super critical, especially when you start playing in colder weather, right? And the ball just doesn't travel as far when they kick. And every little play that you make or don't make gets magnified. I mean, how about the play where the other night where the kick, almost goes out of bounds?
Yep.
And yet their returner catches the ball, right there on the sideline and steps out of bounds. So they got the ball at the 2-yard line. A couple of plays later, Sam Hubbard damn near sacks the guy in the end zone for a safety. And really because of field position, they punt it to us, and we get, Taylor gets a little bit of return. We get the ball. We're already up past midfield with our offense. So I mean, and it's really all predicated by really that one play, the ball that didn't go out of bounds, and they happen to catch it and take it out of bounds. So
right.
Field position becomes a huge factor in the game. It always is. I think everything gets magnified at this point in the season too when it comes to that.
So let's examine the actual kickers, the guys that actually are going to be kicking the football in this football game. Kevin Huber, in your estimation, what kind of year did Kevin Huber have for you, Coach?
I think he's been solid. I think statistically, when you look at it, he's been very solid. It's rated up there in the upper third of the seasons. Probably, I would say that he's had here. He's been a little inconsistent the last couple games. I think he had a hit he'd like to have back against the Raiders. I think he had one he'd like to have back against Kansas City. They kind of put us in a tough spot from a field position standpoint. But again, he's somebody that I rely on. He's somebody that I have a great deal of trust in. I'm sure he'll be, ready to learn and ready to go and excited to play in this game too. From that standpoint, he's been solid.
Yeah. So what about their punter? Kevin has been a Pro Bowl punter. So has Kern, their punter. Kern has only got one touchback this year, tied for the fewest in the league. I mean, one touchback. That's all season long. 18 inside the 20, a +17 ratio there. He's 6th in the league in net punting. What do you think about Kern as a punter?
He's been very, very good there over the long haul. I think this is probably actually one of his lower gross average seasons he's had over the last probably 7 or 8 years. I mean, he was a perennial Pro Bowler there. He's averaging close to 50 yards a punt for the longest time. I think what sets him apart, though, is he's a great directional punter. He's fantastic doing that. He's really, really good, hanging the ball, getting the ball into the boundary, kicking the ball out of bounds. He's very good at. He lacks probably a little bit of hang time that he used to have, but he does a great job of getting the ball, really, really wide out to the boundary. And so that presents its own set of issues, for us. But he's still been very consistent. His control obviously speaks for itself. Like you talked about, he's got one touchback on the year, which is just spectacular. Even when he's +50 punting. So that's a big deal for him. He'll present a good challenge for us too. They have a really good special teams group. They're as big and as physical as any team that we've played. They've got 3 linebackers who are good players. 92, I can't pronounce his last name. His first name's Ola. I can't pronounce his last name. 49, they got a kid, Nick Zubner, who's fantastic. 53, Dylan Coles, another very, very good linebacker they got. So they're going to be as big and as physical a group as we've played the whole year.
And that's interesting because you look at them offensively, they have 220-pound wide receivers, 250-pound running back. I mean, they're big everywhere. The offensive line is big and rugged, defensively. It's just a big physical football team, and it carries over to special teams as well, obviously.
Yeah, I think their team is probably modeled. The New England imprint is all over this team. I think with Vrabel, John Robinson, the GM, coming from New England. The types of players that they bring in there, it's that type. I feel like it's New England. New England is a much more, especially on defense, some of those linebackers that they have, whether it's like Hightower and Jamie Collins and those guys are super, super, super aggressive, super physical. And I think the Tennessee guys, fit that same mold. They fit the cast that team is looking for.
What about the returners in this football game? Kickoff return, punt return. What do you see there, Coach? How's that match up?
Well, it's going to. They've had a couple guys back there as kickoff returners. The punt return will be Chester Rogers, who kind of got his start in the league really with the Colts, a division opponent of theirs. He's a small, quick little returner who makes pretty good decisions. He'll put the ball on the ground a couple times, but he's got game-breaking ability in terms of quickness and speed. He's also done a little bit of their kickoff returning. I don't think he's exactly what they want, but he's been successful at it. The other guy that's been back there is a kid, Dontrell Hilliard, who was with Cleveland for several years. He's been with Tennessee. He was been their kickoff return the last couple of weeks. He's kind of been, while Henry's been out, he's been a bit of their bell cow back along with Dante Foreman. They both got a lot of carries. I think that Hilliard's kind of caught fire a little bit here towards the end, but my judgment is it'll probably be him as the kickoff returner. If not, it'll be Chester Rogers. But again, they're both very formidable guys. As you can imagine, like I said, those big linebackers that they use on punt return are very, very good hold-up guys. I mean, we cannot let these guys get our paws on us and grab us and hold us to the line of scrimmage. If they do, we're going to have a hell of a hard time getting off. So we got to be really physical up front on the line of scrimmage on punt. We got to be able to shock and separate and get out and get out away from them, get out and run, and be great with our leverage positions down the field.
Trent Taylor, what's he meant to you returning?
Well, he lets me sleep at night. He or sleep better at night.
Yep.
I really, he'll make good decisions back there. I don't ever worry, knock on wood, about him handling the football, making the right decisions there.
Yep.
I feel really good about what he does. Is he going to hit a home run every play? No, he's not. But it's like I tell all of our returners, the single most important job that you have as a returner is at the end of the play, you hand the ball to the official. So whatever happens after that is gravy. If we get great positive yardage, great. All that's good. But the single most important thing that you can do on any play is be able to hand the ball to the official at the end of the play.
Right on.
And so hopefully we can get that done.
Let's go to the place kickers. A guy that's kicking now for the Titans is a guy you're very familiar with. I know you respect the job that he did for you when he was here, Randy Bullock. And Randy he's only attempted one from 50 and beyond, as I recall, and he made it. He's 8 for 13 from 40 to 49. That's been the trouble spot for him. How do you think Randy Bullock has kicked for him this year?
Well, about like exactly what you said, and that's kind of been I think he's the 81.3 percent, which is about what he is. That's about standard with what he's done throughout his career. He's been in the league for a long time. He's obviously somebody that I have a great deal of knowledge of and remember a lot. Of the things that he can do and the things that he can't do. He's good when you're up closer. I mean, really inside of 40 yards, he's spectacular. He has not missed inside of 40 yards. It's when you back up past that much, that's when things get a little, 66, 67% type thing. I know they don't want to attempt a lot of long field goals with him, and that's fine. That's just what he is. But he's deadly when you get inside of 40 yards.
So your guy, McPherson, from long distance, 9 for 11. Leads the NFL, 9 makes from 50 yards and beyond. And he had a little bit of a groin issue he's been dealing with. Is all hands go here, all hands on deck, full speed ahead? Yeah,
he's fine. Yeah, he's fine. He had a little bit of an issue, in pregame warm-up for the Kansas City game.
Yeah.
It didn't really affect him in the game at all. That's the part that people don't know. He tweaked his groin a little bit, and we were able to manage it throughout the game. We thought it was going to be disaster, but it was averted. And I think this goes to show, even though he's a young guy, it shows you his maturity to be able to put himself in a position how to handle that. All the things that you got to do, to be able just to manage a little bit of a groin pull throughout a game. And, the most important game we had of the season really was a Kansas City game. He was able to manage that. I think it affected his kickoffs a little bit. But then we gave him the week off in the Cleveland game, got him all healthy and healed up. And he was 100% for the Raiders game, and he's been spectacular. He'll be 100% for this game too, so he'll be fine.
So a guy that you missed at the end of the season with injury, Stanley Morgan, is he back for you, Coach? He's so valuable in every phase of your special teams. A heck of a gunner, just a tremendous special teams player in general. Is he full speed ahead as well?
Yeah, well, I think we'll continue to see. He's been limited this week in practice.
Uh-huh.
We'll just have to make a decision here at the end of the week whether we want to make him active or not, or whether he's got a chance to hurt himself worse. Stanley only knows one speed, and that's full speed ahead. And so what I talked about, they obviously play two completely different positions, where Evan has learned how to manage a groin pull and make it through a game because he has to, because there's only one of them.
Right.
I don't know that Stanley would know how to do that or understand how to do that, because Stanley knows one thing, and that's full go all the time. So we have to, balance. Is it a smart thing to put him out there, and if something happens again, that we could potentially lose him for a long time, or does he feel well enough where we feel like if he can go out there and give 100% and not be at risk to himself or our team, then we're all in on him. So I think that's something that that'll continue to shake out here over the next couple of days.
So, Coach, I know you're a thorough guy, detailed guy. That's what all the players, they're like, man, Coach Simmons, I've never been coached by a coach that is more detail oriented and it knows so much about every single point that you need to know. He is on top of. Have you already checked what weather might be like down there in Nashville? And what do you remember about that stadium? Is it configured where there's swirling wind, or what can you recall from your past experiences down there?
Well, as you know, the stadium sits just across the river from downtown, so
Right.
it's kind of in an open spot, quite honestly. So the wind can be a factor there a bit. I think the winds are supposed to be very modest. I think it's supposed to be winds are supposed to be like 5 to 10 miles an hour. I think the temperature's supposed to be in the mid 30s. With the way that the more the wind blows, obviously the cooler it gets, and the cooler it gets, the less the ball travels. In terms of kicks, ball just doesn't compress. It's harder. It's harder for the kickers to, really make the ball travel. I don't think the weather's going to be a huge factor. Again, the great part about it is they're playing in the same weather that we're playing in.
Sure.
So they're going to have to deal with it too. The unique part about us is we deal with this weather though on a daily basis when we practice out here. I mean, it was today. I think the wind chill was about 15 degrees out there for practice, so it was cold today. But it's something that we practice in every day, so we're very accustomed to whatever weather conditions there are. Trust me, we've practiced in them. And it also includes the wind too. So I feel very good with where we'll be at from handling the weather. We got a good handle on it. And again, anything's like the weather. The weather could change overnight too.
Sure.
These forecasts change, but it's something certainly we checked. From the minute we won the game, we knew we'd be playing Tennessee. Exactly what would happen, or after Pittsburgh lost to Kansas City, we knew we'd be going to Tennessee. That's the first thing I checked is the weather. What's it supposed to be like on Sunday?
So let me get you out of here on this, Coach. And you've done this for a couple of decades of excellence with the Cincinnati Bengals as the coordinator of special teams, and now you've been assistant head coach for a while here with the Cincinnati Bengals. And the fact that you punted in your college career at Kansas and actually experienced what it takes, what you have to have. How big a factor, how big a plus has that been when you first transitioned into the National Football League as a special teams coach and over the long haul here? How much has that paid dividends for you?
I think it's paid a lot of dividends because I can relate with what Kevin goes through, and we talk a lot. We talk a lot throughout pregame warm up. We talk during the game. Actually, when I was in junior college, I punted. If you Google what the windiest city in the United States is, I think it comes up as Dodge City, Kansas. Is the on record as the windiest place in the country. I think Chicago is the windy city, but if you look at the windiest city in the United States, I think it comes up as Dodge City. Wow. That's where I played junior college football at. So I played in some real wind there. But no, I think it gives me a good advantage. Kevin, like I said, Kevin and I talk a lot. We converse a lot about the wind. You'll see Kevin even during games walk out, like during quarter changes or during play stoppages. Kevin will walk out there on the field and just get a feel for what the wind feels like. And what's unique about a lot of stadiums is sometimes the wind that you feel at ground level on the stadium is different than what it is up above the uprights where the ball's traveling. Yep. And I think that comes into play really at our stadium. That'll come into play a little bit at Tennessee. Tennessee, their stadium in the end zones, it's not a complete bowl. I mean, their end zones they're not open, but their end zones are lower. So the wind has a tendency to come through the end zones pretty good. So we'll evaluate it in pregame warm up. We'll have a good plan, for what we want to do for handling the wind there in Tennessee this time. But I do think it gives us a good advantage because I've been able to experience what he's experiencing.
Okay, I lied. I just have one other quick one here. Evan McPherson, you mentioned his maturity, and he's a mature young man and talented, obviously. You got Clark Harris, been a Pro Bowl snapper and he's been around for a bunch of years. Kevin Huber, Pro Bowl punter, been around for a bunch of years. How big is that to have those two guys as part of that operation, snap, hold, and kick, when you got a rookie kicker, no matter how mature that rookie kicker is?
Yeah. It's the single biggest thing I think that Evan, the single most important thing that Evan could have had, is two experienced guys that can help show him the ropes.
Yep.
As to what to do, what not to do, how to handle situations. I think Kevin and Clark are fantastic in games. They can talk to Kevin. I think Evan listens to them a lot about how to handle different things. And, really it's like having two other coaches. So, I tell these guys that I coach the hell out of these guys, the punter and the kicker and the snapper throughout the week. and then I just let them go on game day. You know, I got to worry about the other 10 guys. I got to worry about, you know,
Right.
10 guys on kickoff, the guys on kickoff return, the guys on punt. But I let, you know, Kevin Clark and Evan really handle themselves on game day and manage themselves. And I think Kevin and Clark do a really good job of being able to just keep Evan grounded and keep him locked into exactly what's coming next. And I think it's been immense, just so Evan knows what he can expect, what he can anticipate. And with his breadth of knowledge, it's huge for him to be a step ahead of the curve when it comes to that. And it's a tribute to those two guys helping him through that.
Well, Coach, the city of Cincinnati and the Cincinnati Bengals organization has been blessed to have you in this community and with this football team for 2 decades. And you've set a high standard, Coach, and you've coached a lot of good players. You made them great, and that's the key to a good football coach. Appreciate your time and appreciate what you've done for this organization community once again, sir.
Well, I thank you. As you guys know, it was a big deal after the game last week that when Zach gave Mike that game ball.
Yep.
The thing's been a long time coming for him.
Yep.
You know, I know that he was elated to have that happen, and it was great for this city, man. The chills that you get the head after that game, just knowing how happy this city was, how proud it was. It's finally a weight lifted off everybody's shoulders. You know, was great to be a part of. I feel very fortunate to be a part of this organization. I always have. I always will. You know what it's like to be here. It's a family-run business, and it means a lot to this family that they treat their employees right, and they do. And I feel very fortunate to be a part of it. And you know, we got 3 more games to go.
Exactly, sir. No question about it. Thanks for your time. You are the best. Have a great one.
Appreciate it, Lap. You too.
At First Star Logistics, we're a very strict company that really puts the pressure on our employees. Breaks? What are those?
That's what I'm talking about, Icky. Get the body right, then the mind's right. You know,
gotta get that body right. That's right. Yes, sir.
Become a star with a chance to earn the highest commission percentages in the industry as a freight broker agent. Check out firststarlogistics.com.